So it's not every person in there that's not trying to just outbid somebody so someone don't have it, right? Well, what if one day, what if you go every day and the one person that's going there that really just aggravates the heck out of you, right? For whatever reason. And maybe that one person, nobody wants to buy something, but that one person sees that you want to buy something and all of a sudden now their hand just keeps going up, right? Well, what if the day you decide not to go, that person decides not to go too? You see what I mean? That's one of the things where consistency wins. So if you consistently show up, that person might have a sick day. And on that sick day, you might get the opportunity to get what it is you wanted, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is when you go, it's not always just, I'm not always just going to buy something, right? I always remember 1 = 5, right? Every one thing I do, I'm trying to find 5 different ways to use it. So when I go, my intentions is, right, I'm going because I want to buy something. I want to buy this piece of property, right? I'm at the auction to buy this piece of property. And that's my number one thing. My number two thing is I'm building relationships. Because what happens if you have that person, right? Because you know, being in your industry, there's a lot of people that don't have time, right? Time is very valuable. And they got something to do. So you might go there and one of the relationships you build, you might end up being the person that can work with this other person because they don't have time to go there, but you got time to go there. So now you become a value add to them. You see what I mean? We gotta start understanding that when we do something or when we go somewhere, it's more than one reason we're going. And when I say more than one reason, obviously, right, we're going so we can make money. We want to make money. We're going to make money. But there's more than one way to make money in them environments. So I want you to think about it like that. Don't let the one person get you out of showing up. Because at some point you're going to become the person where it's like, okay, I could bid with you too, but you're not going to be able to outbid someone if you never show up. That makes sense? So again, right, let's bring it back to sales. Sales is all about you got to sell yourself first. And that means I'm not caught up in what you're doing. I'm selling myself on no matter what, I'm going to find a way to make this work for me. Right? I'm going to find a way. That makes sense? Okay, so if the deal don't go through, right, there's some uncontrollables there. So the controllable is getting your client, is keeping your client on the hook to say, hey, let's find something else, right? Because that's really what it is. Okay. So when she said, I'm tired, I can't do this anymore, right? What did you say to her? And so let me back up because this is like important, right? And I think sometimes we miss this, right? If your customer says you can't get them on the hook anymore, it's just over, right? For them, the last thing you want to do is cancel the deal. You don't want to cancel the deal. You want to keep the deal. You want to keep the deal going. You want to keep the deal on the books. So therefore, you have to look at the customer and understand what I don't want to say her or him, right? Whatever it is, but you want to make sure you're selling the customer. You're keeping the customer sold on their vision. Because that's really what it is. And that's all that it is. You want to keep the customer sold on their vision. So your major job is to reiterate why she started doing it in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a complicated piece. That's pretty easy. But you have to ask the question, right? You have to ask the question of when someone says to you, man, I don't know if I could do this anymore. This is like it's stressing me out. I'm so frustrated over the situation. What we do most of the time in that situation is we try to assume what they're frustrated with. Right? We're guessing. Like, oh my God, it got to be a lot. We went through this, we went through that, we did all of this. We got to remove the guessing, right? We got to remove what we think. It's not about what we think, right? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. right? We got to be like the police. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. So, therefore, when they say to you, man, I'm so frustrated, I can't do this anymore. Let's go to questions. What part of it's frustrating you the most? And now they're going to tell me, well, this. Now, my job is to remove the clutter, right? I got to remove all the clutter. I got to be able to put a pin in it and let that air out to release some of that frustration. So when they tell me, man, I'm frustrated, I can't do this. This is taking up so much of my time. Well, you just told me that the time part of it. So now I got to think, how could I do a lot of this without having you here? How could I do a lot of this without you? How could I free up some of your time? So now I'm going to look at it right after you told me, man, I'm so frustrated. I don't want to go through this no more. I'm done. Well, hold on, time out. What part of it got you frustrated the most? Well, I got to keep doing this and I got to keep doing this and I got to keep doing this. All right, great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this part for you. I'm going to take this off of your plate and I'm going to do this for you. That way we can get through this next one, because the last thing you want to do is give up after you came this far. Don't you agree? You see what I'm saying? So we can't assume we know what someone's frustration is. When we do, we lose the deal. We're going to 100% lose the deal when we try to assume the frustration of a person. But if all I'm doing is figuring out, when I hear you say you're frustrated, I'm just trying to find out what, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's frustrating you the most? And then I want to know, is that something that I can relieve you of? Can I relieve some of the frustration? If I can, then I know I'm closer to the deal, right? I moved you that much further. I want to bundle this up. Think about this. When you look at, like, your cable company, they want to take your phone, your internet, your whatever else they have, right? And they want to bundle it together. Why? Because the study says, if I get you to get 3 of my products, the odds of you leaving me are slim. The retention rate goes up because I have you in 3 of my products. So if I can get you down the line, right? If I can get you to the next step, we got to stop thinking about the sale. The sale is cool. We all want it. But the more I can keep you engaged, the odds of me getting a sale go up. Why? Because we came this far. We've been going at it for 90 days, 6 months. We've been going at this thing, and now you want to let it go? Listen, look. So that's a strong key, right? When you look at it, you say, man, we already went, we're 90 days in, we're 6 months in. We've been doing this. When someone starts to get frustrated, you got to bring them back to the beginning and say, look where we started and look where we are now. Is it really worth giving up? And let them answer the question, right? This is when we got to shut up. Like, we can't say nothing after that. Look where we started. And we can't just say, look where we started and look where we are now. We got to say, look where we started. We was doing this. We went through this. We went through this. We're mentioning the pain points where they felt the way they feel now. And then when we got over it and the relief we got, and then look where we are now. All we got to do is get over that a few more times. I'm not telling you it's one more, but we just got to get over that a few more times, but look at the end result. And we can't get caught up. We can't get caught up in their emotions and their feelings. We got to let them be emotional. We got to let them have all the frustration, right? That's visible and verbal. We're going to be frustrated too because we want to get to the end of this. But we can't let them see it. We got to let them see solutions, and then we got to go in a room by ourselves and scream and let it out, right? Like, yo, this is killing me. But listen, this is where we are. And then so sell ourselves so we can turn around and sell them. That makes sense? All right, hold on. So this is what we're going to do. When we look at it, right, and we're reading a message from somebody, we got to take that message in pieces, because we're going to have something important and then we're going to have some fluff, right? So it's just like if you're reading an email, people want to read the whole email and just stop replying. That's dumb, right? Unless your mind works that way, but it's dumb. It really doesn't, right? Read the piece. So start that over, right? I'm not sure how much of this I can take. So right there, you got to identify what's that. Relieve that before you even go anywhere else. I'm not sure on how much more of this I can take. I'm going to acknowledge it, right? I completely understand. What part? Yeah. See, so when you look at it, when they give you the piece, I'm not sure how much more of this I can take. It's draining. It's doing all of this. I completely understand what part is draining you the most. And I'm just answering that. I'm not answering the whole email. Because what's going to happen is if we start to talk about all of these other things, now they're going to forget about this. And we never addressed it. They're going to latch on to whatever they feel as though is the most important. And remember, they're emotional at this point. So if they're emotional at this point and they're latching on to whatever they feel as though is important, that means they're guiding me. I'm not guiding them. I'm trying to get the information from them so that I can guide them the right way. So when they say to me, man, it's so frustrating, I don't know how much more of this I can take. I promise you it's not everything in the situation that is hitting them the same way. There's something that's hitting them more. I want to know what that is. So I'm just going to ask the question. I completely understand what part of it is the most draining to you. And they're going to tell me, right? And they might give me a laundry list of stuff. My job is then again to break down a laundry list of stuff and find the thing that is hitting them the most, right? The thing that's causing them the most pain, the most frustration at this current time. And then I want to put a reliever in there because all I'm doing is taking away that excuse, right? Because at the end of the day, they want to win. They want the victory. They want what they want. People just don't want to go through it. My guy says all the time, right? Everybody wants what it looks like, but don't want what it feels like. So we as the salesperson, the person looking to help them, we got to be able to break this thing down to relieve their pain. That's our job. Our job is if I can relieve your pain, I just took away your excuse. People don't want to go work out. Why? Because it hurts the muscles. It's sore. Oh, I don't have the time, right? They got all the excuses in the world. What if I showed you how to work out and you don't have no pain? Oh, you can't do that. Listen, let's have a session or two and I'll show you. I'm removing the excuses. That's all we got to do is remove the excuses one at a time. Right? So then we go to the next part in the email. The email might be a paragraph, right? If somebody writes you a book, I promise you that long email is not all worries and concerns. It's frustration. They're just venting to you. That's what they're doing. They're venting. So we got to go ahead and read it and say, okay, let me address this. Boom, let me send that back. And if you don't touch none of the other stuff in the email, if they never email you back and start talking about the rest of it, it's not that important. The thing, if they only stay here, then that's the most important part. Mm-hmm. Yep. So what you did is then you fed it though. You fed the emotion, right? The minute you say, I completely understand, it's always aggravating when they. So you fed the emotion and then put it on them. You got to feed them. You got to just acknowledge. And then because she already told you the pain. So you got to acknowledge and then relieve the pain. Don't feed it. Don't say, yeah, it's aggravating, because now what we're doing is we're gossiping about the people. So now someone who loves to gossip, they're like, yeah, see, they even acknowledge it. You know what I mean? My agent, my salesperson, they even acknowledge that it's some BS and it shouldn't be that way. And they make it so difficult. The conversation is going the way you don't want it to go. You got to control the conversation. Remember, we got the outcome we want. And once we got the outcome we want, our mission is to drive to the outcome, right? In a straight line. The straight line. We want to drive in a straight line. I'm not feeding any of your emotions. I'm not going to agree with you that they're screwed up. I'm not, right? I might say to you, things happen. This is what I want to do. I want to take care of this pop for you. I want to do this and this. That way you can go on with your life. You can go to work. You can be with your family and let me work for you. Is that fair enough? right? No, nobody is turning away the red carpet treatment. Nobody's turning away the red carpet treatment, but we're so used to dealing with people that just want to highlight the problem and do nothing about it. We're going to highlight the problem. So all I want to do is, so what I'm saying to you now is I want to talk about this problem with you. I want to have a conversation, and I want to be the person you just beat up with your conversation, all the negative. And then I'm going to throw some negative back to you, and I'm watering the wrong seed. That's it. So it's easy to put blame. It's hard to take it. I'm taking it. I don't care what the third party people did. I don't care what's going on with them. Listen, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let me go ahead and do some homework for you, and I'm going to figure this thing out. That way I can make it a lot easier for you. All I want you to do is be able to go on living your life, right? You're going to write a check. I can't write the check for you. You're going to write the check by yourself. I can't sign your autograph, but let me go ahead and do the legwork for you. That way you can keep living. Is that fair enough? Right? And now it's going to be like, oh my God, like you're so amazing. You know what? You've done so much for me already. The conversation shifts because people think that they got to go and do the work. They got to go do it. And really what I just said to you was, listen, you just been sitting at home anyway, living your life. You haven't done anything. I'm going down doing all the work. I'm filing all the papers for you. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. That's what I said to you without saying it. I'm just highlighting it now because I need you to see it. Like, wow, you know what? That's so great. Now, when you pick up your phone, you're not bad-mouthing the people. You're not bad-mouthing the process. You're talking good about me, which is going to bring me referrals because now you're going to say, you know what? It was so frustrating. Man, my sales guy, my agent, they said to me, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that for you. Just relax. Don't worry. I know it gets a little frustrating sometimes, but that's why I'm here. And they're going to be like, oh my God, when I had somebody, they did this and that, and they didn't get nothing done. They didn't offer none of it. I got to use them next time. Now I got a referral. I got a grand ambassador that's walking around and they telling everybody about me. You see why sales seems like it's hard? Because we get caught up in the gossip of the world. We get caught up in everybody that we're talking to, and we're not focused on the outcome I want to say focus on the outcome. We identify the outcome, but we're focused on the next step. The next step is where I get to the deal. The outcome, I'm not there yet. I ain't earned it yet. I don't deserve to be at my outcome. I just know the outcome is I want to get my money out of your pocket. That's it. That's my outcome. My outcome is my money is in your pocket and I want to get it. The only way I can get it is if I serve you at a high level. If I don't serve you at a high level, then my money stays in your pocket and it goes to somebody else and it's no longer my money. So I'm looking at it, identify the outcome. I want you to buy this product. I want you to buy this service. But before I can get you to buy the product or buy the service, I got to get you to the next step. If I know what the next step is, easy. If I don't know what the next step is, your frustration now becomes my frustration. But when I know the next step, your frustration becomes my solution. I'm using, right? So I was watching this show, man, like, I don't know, probably like 4 years ago, or maybe less, whatever, right? And it was some Marvel movie. And the villain, every time the villain touched something, it was draining the energy, making the villain stronger. So that means, right? That means that if we're having a conversation and my negativity is feeding your negativity, I'm making your negativity stronger. The stronger your negativity becomes, the harder it is to get the transaction. So my money stays in your pocket. But if I'm able to counter your negativity with my light, that means when we touch, instead of me feeding your negativity and you draining my negativity and pulling it into you to make you worse, I'm giving you the light. So now my light is dimming your negativity. Yo, this thing is so simple. I really don't understand why we can't grab this, right? Why we can't get this concept. We don't have to sell anybody. We're not here to sell anybody. The only thing we're here for is to make a transaction. I'm here to make your life easier. This is why when people say, yo, you got to do what you love. If you don't love it, stop doing it. And I say that because I love it so much. I love sales so much that when you're frustrated, I'm like, yo, how can I relieve your frustration? Right? And don't get me wrong. There's times when I run into something new and it frustrates the heck out of me. And sometimes when it's real new and it's like the first time, I'm excited, right? When I run into it the first time, I'm excited. Why? Because that frustration, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna overcome that. I'm gonna conquer that. And then the second time comes and I try something new and that doesn't work. I'm like, all right, cool, back to the drawing board. Third time, I'm like, man, this is, I gotta get it, right? That fourth time, it starts to show on my face now because I'm like, man, I can't get past this right now. I gotta figure this out. So for me, I gotta sit there. No, I gotta know what the next step is, but that frustration of me not being able to overcome it when I get to that fourth time. So that means when I face it the first time, I'm going hard because I don't want to get to four. Four scares me. It's like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was a beast, but if you get him to fight too long, that's when it was hard for him because he was used to going 3 rounds. Right? He was used to going 4 rounds. Hussein Bolt said, listen, I trained for the 100 yards. I trained for the 100 yards. I crushed the 100, but beyond that, I never trained. I don't train beyond the 100 because I only run the 100. So you start getting them into the 300, it's like, yo, I'm pushing my body. So I know that when I get to the fourth time and I can't overcome it, my face shows it. And people would say to me, don't get frustrated with me. I'm just trying to. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm sorry. Please don't take it that way. Right now, I got to do my cleanup. So that means when it happens the first time, I'm going hard. I'm going hard. The second time, I'm going harder. The third time, man, I'll be up all night. And I'm going at it. Boom, 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 boom. Because I know if I get to that fourth time, the frustration that I get. So I know my limits. You got to learn your limits. That's it. That's all. Absolutely. So you want to go get the squirrel? Listen, the next step is just getting out the door. As soon as she gets out the door, she's ready to go at it. Yeah. Oh, you're good, man. So right now, right, in order to reset the clock, right? Because that's really what we're looking to do right now, right? We want to reset the clock. So to do that, you reach back out and you say, you know what? I was thinking about it last night when you was talking about, the frustration that you're going through, and I want to help you to relieve some of the frustration. So what is the biggest thing? What is the thing that's frustrating you the most? You want it, right? And play with the verbiage a little bit. Play with the verbiage before you call, right? Because it got to sound like you. But you gotta say, you know what? I was thinking about it all day. Yeah, after I read your email, that's what you do, right? After I read your email, I was thinking about it all night long on how I can help you to get this done. Because you put in a lot of time and a lot of work, and there's no way we could stop now. So what is the thing that's frustrating you the most with this process? And then shut up and listen. This is going to help you to re-engage. It's going to do a couple things, right? Listen to the setup. When we say, you know what, after I read your email, I was thinking about it all day, all night. And I really, when you say that part, it's showing that you care, right? It's showing that I'm not just, you're not sending me an email and I'm just listening or I'm just reading and I really don't care. No, like I was up all night thinking like, how could I help to get this done? What could I do to help accomplish this? And once that happens, now she's going to start to look at you. And when she looks at you, she's going to say to herself like, wow, like, I can't believe that. Like, you was really thinking about that. Like, that's so sweet of you. So we're highlighting everything you say has to lead to something, right? There's a purpose. Remember, I know where I want to go. And once I know where I want to go, I just got to take the next step. So when we're talking about that, where I want to go is I want to get my money out of your pocket. I want to get you to get this product or service. But in order to do that, I got to let you know that I'm working for you. I am working for you. I really care. I'm doing stuff that you're like, wow, like nobody, you know what? Nobody ever did that. You're the first one to ever do that. So now, because I know the experience I want you to have, when you say to me, wow, that's amazing. No one ever did that. Great. I created a first time for you. And we all know that a first time for somebody is important. The first time you find your loved one, the first time you travel out the country, the first time you get on an airplane, we always remember our first times. You know, you don't remember your first steps, right? But you remember your first times. Therefore, I want to create that. And when you say it to me, that means I know I just created it and I'm good to go. Right? I moved you along now. I moved you to the next step. So let's jump into this, right? What time? I don't even know what time it is. 8 o'clock. All right, let's jump into this. I gotta jump off. I got some things I gotta go do. But I want to go over this real quick because this is where we are in the process. And just so you know, I'm about to do a sales webinar, man. I'm about to do a webinar, and I'm gonna do one a week probably. I think I'm gonna do like one every Sunday for like the next 2 months, right? So that's like 8 webinars, and oh my goodness, I got so much to put into it. But I'm going to do that, and it's going to be phenomenal. But let's jump into this. And it's almost along the lines of what we was just talking about, right? As far as building the roadmap and getting to the next step. So this is key to building the roadmap. Number one is you have to master questions that guide them, right? You have to master questions that guide them. And what I mean is, it's just like when we're reading the email and we take that first piece that has some value and we answer one piece at a time. When I answer this email, I'm asking, I'm acknowledging, I might make a statement before my question, or I might ask the question before my statement. Either way is okay, right? You can move it along. You can put the question before the statement or put the statement before the question. Either way, whatever works for you in your tone, right? Your personality. But you got to master the questions that guide them. So if I'm reading your email, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to acknowledge something. I'm going to ask you a question about what you're saying. The reason I'm asking this question is so that I can figure out the best way for me to answer it. Even if I already know the answer, I already know what you're going to say to me. I'm not going to assume because I'm removing the power of my question, right? I'm removing the power, meaning I'm not letting you say it. It's just me saying it to you. If I say, hey, what color is the sky? And you're like blue, I'm like, okay, now I can ask my question. But if I assume you're going to say the sky is blue, now what happens is, if I say to you, hey, the sky is blue, I just gave you the opportunity to say, no, it's not. But if I say to you, what color is the sky? And you're like, it's blue. Great. So if you take the color of the sky and mix it with this, what do you get? I asked you, you answered. You can't debate that the sky is blue because you just said it. So when I'm talking to you, I'm mastering the questions based on the outcome that I want, right? So you got to master the questions that guide them. What it's going to help you do, it's going to help you to identify the personality of the person. If the person answers like, come on, man, it's blue. They're probably a straightforward guy, right to the point. Don't play, get right to it, right? If they say, come on, man, what do you think? Like, you looking at it? Oh, they got some humor to them. Or they might look and be like, it's green. Based on how they say it, you're like, oh, okay, you like the joke. You got a personality like, okay, I know how to work with you. You see what I'm saying? So if I know the type of person I work best with, I'm asking questions that's going to uncover if you're that person. So now I know how I can address you. This is why it's important to master the questions. We're building the roadmap to get to the close. By mastering my questions in this particular industry, in this field, right? Everybody's field is going to be different based on the questions we ask. But by asking the questions, I'm also going to be able to identify the hot buttons. I'm going to be able to identify things that get you excited. I'm going to be able to identify things that aggravate you. I'm going to be able to identify things that you dealt with in the past that you don't want to deal with now. I'm going to be able to identify experience you had in the past that you want to duplicate now, right? And now if I can duplicate a past experience that was good for you, I can add some extra to make it better, right? And once I make it better, now I'm like, man, I could put a cherry on top of this and make it great by doing this, because this is something that you stated that wasn't done. And if that was done, man, that would have just been phenomenal. So when I went here, they did this, this, and this, man, oh my God, it was so great. If they would have did this, that would have put it over the top. Well, I'm going to do all of that stuff, right, at a higher level, and then I'm going to do the piece that you wanted on top. And now you're like, yo, you made this better than the last time. I did my job. But I can only do this if I'm mastering the questions that's going to allow me to uncover what I need to know, right? If I can't uncover what I need to know, I'm lost. I'm like a deer in the headlights. I'm guessing like everybody else, right? The last thing is your questions in the process of building a roadmap is going to help you to identify, is there any other buyers? Is there anyone else that you need to talk to? Most people, right, and I hear it all the time, so are you the only decision maker or is there anyone else? Nah, it's cool, but how else can we say that? So we don't sound like everybody else. Because if they went somewhere and all the questions you're asking them, somebody else asked them, but that experience was bad, you're bringing them back to that moment in time. Right now, right now, there's something that you could smell and it brings you to a moment that you enjoyed. There's something that you can hear, you can feel, you can see that makes you think of a moment that gave you the ultimate experience. And then there's some things you smell, you see, you hear, you taste that remind you of the worst time of your life. I want to help you to remember the great times, and I want to build off of that. Right? So I don't want to say, hey, is there any other buyers involved? No, I want to figure out another way to say it that fits my personality. Right? These are the type of things, man, that, you really got to sit down. You really got to sit down and you got to think of your personality and how can you ask these questions based on your industry. People always say, well, what should I say? Hold on, listen, that's really not the way to do it, because you're going to get frustrated if you can't make it sound like someone else sounds. People say, yeah, you make it sound easy. Well, because I'm just being me. I'm doing it the way I do it. So what you got to do is you got to sit down. You got to put it in your way. You got to write it your way, right? Write out your questions your way. And then we can sit down and we can tweak the questions to make sure I got the key points in there, but it got to sound like you. And if you just get the answer's not going to sound like you, and it's not going to come out the right way, and it's going to frustrate you because you're going to say, man, I didn't do it like that. When I was a kid and I tried to do the fadeaway like Jordan, I'm like, man, that ain't Jordan's fadeaway. I can't get it. I got frustrated. But the minute I figured out me, then I was able to say, oh, this is my little fadeaway. Oh, okay, let me try this now. And then I started to add the pieces in. But I had to find me first and then add the pieces to make the corrections. Yes. Yep. So when you're saying it, it's just, listen, you came so far, and what I want to do on my side is I want to do whatever I can to help ease the pain. That way you can finish and you can really get the excitement and the joy that you was looking for when you first got started. Is that fair? I'm I'm giving them the information, right? I'm telling them I'm reiterating to them why they started the journey. I'm going through, I'm telling them the pain they're going through. I'm acknowledging the pain they're going through. And then I'm letting them know how I'm here to support them and be their reliever. You tell me how I can do that. Now they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. You know what? You're so amazing. You start to get them type of, when the customer starts to say to you, oh my God, you're so amazing. Oh my God, thank you so much. You made this so easy. You know what? When I was ready to give up, you didn't let me. I really appreciate, thank you. Now you know, okay, I was looking for them reactions, not because I just wanted to get the sale, but I was looking for them reactions because them are my benchmarks. Them are the things letting me know that I'm traveling on the right path. I'm going the way that we need to go in order to get this done, right? I'm not going the opposite direction, because if all I'm getting is, oh my God, I don't want to do, man, you know what? This really ain't even worth it. Blah, blah, blah. Them are not the things I want to hear, because I'm not moving it forward. I'm going backwards. So for me to know I'm going forward, I want to hear the stuff like, wow, thank you so much. You're making this so easy. Wow, you know what? I really appreciate all your help. And what happens is they start to feel like if they back down, if they back out, or if they go somewhere, they're letting you down. They're disappointing you. They're going to say, man, they did so much work for me. I don't want to stop now. Like they really, really been helping me. It's no longer just about them. You got them now to make it about you. You see what I'm saying? That's the game changer. So now everybody they refer to you, they're referring them with that. They're your grand ambassadors now. They're like, man, listen, they made it like this for me, like this. The person that knows them is like, wow, you must really like him, because you don't talk about people like that. Wow, you know what? They must have did a really good job, because usually you would have got rid of them and you would have just been like, stop. The people they're around all the time know their behaviors. So when you're able to shift their behavior and make them do something different, hang in there a little longer, have a little more excitement, not be so negative, right? They're like, man, they must really be good. It makes the other person want to work with you. Like if they could work with you, they could work with anybody. That's what you're looking for. So as you're crafting, this is why, and when I was going to speak, I was going to this school to speak, and the camera guy said to me, he said, hey, at what part of your presentation do you want me to zoom in? Is there a certain angle you want me to get when you're on this part? And I'm like, man, just film it. For me, it was all the same. Just film it, right? Why? Because I didn't have a scripted presentation. So I don't know when I was going to say what I was going to say. I didn't have a clue. I knew what I was going to talk about, but I don't know when I want you to zoom in. Like, okay, when you hear me do this or you see this, I need you to get tight because I'm going to go here. I want this type of... But that's another level of speaking now, right? That's not just speaking, that's being intentional about everything. So I took that and I apply it to sales. I want to be intentional about everything. Every reaction that you have. Now you're going to have some organic ones where I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that one, but I like it, right? Or man, oh, I didn't expect that one. That threw me for a loop. That's going to happen, but I'm crafting everything that I say, right? And not verbatim. But I know what I'm looking for. And when I can pick up them breadcrumbs as we go along, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going in the right direction. That works. And going to speak that day and having that conversation really helped me to see something that's been in front of me for a long time. So you want to know, what results do I want from my customer, my client? And then you have to reverse engineer it. And what does your actions, your verbal need to look and sound like in order to get them reactions? And then once you get them reactions, what do you say? Right? Because that's a whole nother part of it. Once you get the reactions, what do you say? And if you don't know what to say once you get the reaction, what sense does it make to get the reaction? It does you no good at that point, right? There's nothing good about it. But if you know, then you know. If you know, then you know. So craft the reaction. So first, write down, right? We know the outcome is to make the sale, right? That's the outcome. That's what we're looking to do. We want to make the sale. So we got to break it down into levels. I have my step 1, my step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, 6, and 7. Inside of each one of these steps, I want to know the reaction I want. How do I know I'm moving this forward? right? Playing a video game, when you go through certain levels, if you die in the game, you start at that point. That's your starting point now, right? You get so many times to start there before you got to go all the way to the beginning again. So it's the same concept. If I'm working you through the steps, right? And this is what people don't think about. People have no daggone clue. And it drives me nuts because you say, hey, what step you in? All right, cool. How are you walking them through the step? Walk me through like you walk them through. And they can't. And I'm like, yo, well, how do you know where you are? Right? So you got to know, as I'm going through step one, I need a reaction from them that says, wow, you know what, man, I'm really interested. Wow, you piqued my attention with that. You piqued my interest. Hey, can you tell me more? You see what I'm saying? So if I know in step one, I want to get them engaged with me. I want them to say to me, man, can you explain that? Hey, can you tell me some more? Right? Hey, do you think I could take a look at that? When I hear these things, I'm like, okay, boop, got him to that step. Okay, got him to that step. And now we're on step 1 of 6, right? We went through 1 of 1 all the way up to 1 of 6. I got 4 more steps I need to get them through before I can take them to step 10. And what's the reaction I need to get in each one of these? That lets me know where I am. Now we start talking about, expertise. We start talking about, wow, you really crafted this presentation to fit you so that you can get it to somebody else and get them to fall inside of the process with you. Now you can take that and you can go duplicate it, because at the end of the day, you want to build a team at some point. So if you're going to build a team at some point, or you're going to hire somebody on at some point, you need to be able to say to them, so this is step 1. This is what we're going through. This is how you do this. This is what you're looking for. If you don't get one of these 5 responses, you don't have the right to go to the next step yet. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get them to the end, and the pieces that you didn't get, because that's the way the presentation is crafted, is going to make it all fall apart. You ever get to the end of a deal, and for some reason the deal don't go through, and you find out it's something way back there you should have took care of, but you overlooked it or you skipped it thinking it wasn't a big deal? I'm not doing it because it happened too many times. Happened too many times. I told you when I was on the floor selling cars, if I seen a little dent in the car or something, I'm pointing it out to the customer like, hey, right here, it's a used vehicle, it's not new, right? I wish we could make it look brand new 100% for you, but I just want you to know it does have this little ding. What happens is if I give you the information, you don't need me now. That's the thought process. But if I give you the information, you now look at me and my credibility went up and you're bringing me more deals. Because at the end of the day, it's not work you want to do. You're just doing it because you don't have somebody else to do it. But if you know you got me and I just sat there and saved you 10 grand, 20 grand, I just removed a risk that you would have took that would have cost you 10 or 20. You're looking at me like, oh my God, I have no business doing this. Hey, I want to send you some more stuff I'm working on. You see what I mean? Now it just opens up for more deals. So we're using what we know to help get more business. Giving information away. It's like I get online, do a video, I say something. I don't care. Like, I give you the information. What you do with it is something completely different. But there's so many little pieces that go inside that I can't just give you without really knowing more about what you do. Therefore, I increase my value. Mm-hmm. Absolutely you will. Absolutely you will. So think about this too, right? Because I know you had mentioned it as far as the time. People with the time and moving slow. No sense of urgency. One of the things that you got to remember, what's urgent to you is not urgent to others. Right? That's the first thing. What is urgent to you is definitely not urgent to others. So with that being said, you have to shorten the timeline. We can't, and I get it. Some things people know what the process is and they're just going to move at their own pace, right? But you have to become great at creating urgency, right? Creating urgency, because at the end of the day, there's people that don't want to lose a deal. But if I know, listen, you're going to do it and you'll wait for me and you'll do it whenever just because where else you going to go, right? Where else you going to go? You're already this far into the process, and hey, if you don't want to do it, so be it. They don't believe that you'll pull away from them, right? So you have to create that urgency with people that are slow. It's not urgent until it becomes urgent to them, until it affects them. So what I mean by that is this. If I know that I'm working a deal with you, right? And then let's say I got the coolest client ever. Like I'm talking about my client is so cool. If I tell him, hey, you know what? I don't think we should do business with this company. I think we should pause and move over to this next company. And it might delay it a couple of weeks, right? But at the end of the day, it's going to be more efficient and it's going to be a smoother process. Is that something you're willing to do? If not, we can stay and we can continue to work with them and hopefully everything pans out the way we want it to. The setup is hopefully everything pans out the way we want it to. Nobody wants to hopefully, right? It's not a good strategy, right? They want the smooth process. So when the people you're working with is moving slow, and now I got the okay from my client that I can delay this for another 2 to 3 weeks because we're going to switch companies, I'm now going to remove my business from you. When I remove my business from you, I'm being very strategic here, right? Because I'm going to say, listen, I got to take this away from you and I got to go over here and do it because of the time. There's no urgency here. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get this done. One or two things are going to happen. They're either going to tell you, hey, just go ahead and do it. Just leave. Or they're going to say, you know what? We'll get it done by the end of the day. You created urgency for them now because now you're threatening to pull the money back out of their pocket. The money they already counted. You're threatening to pull it back out of their pocket and go somewhere else. But you can't do it on a bluff. This is why you got to get the green light from your customer, right? You got to get the green light from your customer. When your customer gives you the green light, now you can go to them and say, hey, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to work with these people because I need to get this done ASAP. And they're going to say, either call your bluff or they're going to say, you know what, listen, we'll go ahead and get this done by the end of the day. We'll have it done by the end of business tomorrow. Listen, I can give you to the end of tomorrow, but that's the max. Like, other than that, I just got to pull the plug and call it a day. No small talk in there, right? Straight to the point. And then now what happens is the next time you bring them something, they're going to move. They're going to move, but you got to make sure that you got the client that's cool with that process. Correct. So either way, right? So let's run it through either way. So if you're looking at it as the buyer and they're buying, right? And then the seller is dragging their feet for whatever reason. They're not doing this. It's like, listen, my buyer got like 2 other houses. This one just happens to be it, but they're about to travel. They got some things coming up and they don't have the time. So they need to close on this. So whether it's this one or if it's the other one, they don't have a problem going with number 2, right? This is the number 1, but they're thinking like, well, it already been dragged along this long. What if something else happens? And they don't have time for it. And now it's going to inconvenience their life. So I need you to make a decision by the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? Like, that creates the urgency. You see what I mean? You have until Friday. My client doesn't. Because you have to become that guy. Some people just aren't used to moving fast. Oh, I'll get to it. Oh, later. Oh, yeah, we got to the end. No, we don't. So because you think we have to the end of this, technically you do. Yes, you know what? Hey, you're absolutely right. You do have the end of Friday. My client just has till Thursday. My client just has till Wednesday. They don't have to the end of Friday. So that was an important piece, the contract, right? Because you got the contract, so you're tied in until the end of the contract, right? So you have to be very clear on your extension policy, right? Like, yeah, you know what? Listen, we got this contract. This is the contract. I talked to my customer, my client. You know, this is like their 3rd house they're buying. How many? You can't lie because they can see it, right? So this is, you know, if this is their 3rd house, you know, or even if their 2nd home. Listen, they've been through it before. They got strung along time after time after time. We have a hard stop at the end of this. So if for some reason something falls through, they are going to pull out. just to let you know up front. I'm setting the expectation up front. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with my client. So I'm creating a story, right? The bad experience. Listen, this is what happened. Hey, listen, you know what? Our contract's 30 days. My client on their last home, it got postponed. They went through like three postpones. It got delayed 3 times. And this is something that they just said they're not going to tolerate. If for some reason the contract expires, they're just going to pull out and they're going to find someone else to work with. I just want to give you the heads up now as we go into this. So if you don't think you can do it, let's just not, right? And again, I'm playing with the verbiage, but you got to come up with the right verbiage. And you got to have a story. Story sells, right? When you can create that story and it's believable, now they're working. Why? Because they don't want to lose the money. But if they're so used to dealing with customers who are okay because everybody is laid back and they're just, they'll be okay. No, my clients will not be okay. Right? And especially if they're from out of state, up north somewhere, out west somewhere, their patience ain't the same. So now they're like, oh my God, I got to get this one done. And then they'd be going home, I don't even want to deal with customers from out there no more. Oh my goodness. All this pressure. I feel like I got all this work to do. You see what I'm saying? You got to create that. You have to become great at creating urgency. No. No. Chasing the money. You're afraid to lose. You're afraid to lose what you don't even have yet. Right? No, we're going to write in. So you're automatically expecting it to go over? Oh, no, just in case. Okay, I don't want to play the just in case. We got 30 days. And I'm pausing. I'm going to say, listen, I talked to my customer, and I'm going to say to my customer, I'm going to set them up. So they might want to put a 15-day extension, automatic extension in the contract. Is this something you're okay with? And they might say, yes, I'm okay with it. Or I might want to give them the information first and say, listen, correct. You want them to give you the okay to do it, right? So they want to put a 15-day extension in it. But what I find is if we do the 15-day extension, they have no sense of urgency to do it and will most likely use the 15-day extension. What I want to do, this is my opinion. I want to tell them we're not going to do it. We're not going to do a 15-day extension. My customer has a hard stop and we need to get it done within this time frame. Is that something you're okay with? Oh, absolutely. We don't want to wait. You see what I'm saying? Like, because you told them most likely they're going to use it because they're going to drag their feet thinking they got the extra 15 days. If we take it away from them, we might have to end up getting a 15-day extension, but we can do it then. But let's not be obligated to them. I want to let them know that you have a hard stop here. That way they have a sense of urgency, because the last thing you want to do is just be waiting around while somebody's dragging their feet. So now they're waiting for their home. You're waiting for your money. And they don't care about their money because it's just business as usual. It's not how we work. Yeah. That's just what it was. So we want to make sure that we're creating urgency up front. You can't create urgency later. If somebody's talking to me like, man, I got 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not speeding up. I'm looking like I'm speeding up for you, but I'm not, because I know I can't get this done in 30 minutes. What I do know is if I can get you enough in 20 to 25 and you're still there, that 30 minutes was a hoax. It wasn't real. So now we're on 30 and you ain't said nothing about it. Why? Because I educated and entertained. And you're just sitting, you're like, hey, how much longer? Oh man, we're almost there now. All right, let's just keep going. You see what I mean? Like, you have to understand when someone tries to create urgency, you got to try to call their bluff a little bit. If you don't think it's doable, if it's not doable, call the bluff. Don't say, come on, you got more time than that. Right? Now you can, that's okay too, but you also have to make sure you're making great use of your time and they see you really working. But you need to know that if you get in within 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and there's only 5 more minutes and they told you they got to be out of here, They probably don't. They ain't mentioned it since. That one time they did. But because you was a person they enjoy working with and you're giving them what they need, they're willing to stay. That was just their way out, creating urgency of them having to leave. I'll sit there and I'm calling. I'm gonna say, hey, I'm telling my clients, hey, listen, let me give them a call. And I'm gonna call. And I'm gonna say, hey, I'm sitting here with my clients right now. And I'm sitting here with my clients right now. I got you on speaker. I'm gonna tell my clients, don't say anything, right? Shh, don't say nothing. And the reason I'm saying I'm sitting here with my clients, because he might say something that's not for the client, right? Or he might be inappropriate in a way. I don't know. So I'm gonna say, hey, so I'm sitting here with my clients right now, and we're going over some things. So I want to see where we are in this process, because like I said to you, they have a hard 30-day stop, and I just want to make sure that we are definitely on task. Are we? And I'm going to listen. I'm going to let my customer listen. I want them to see I'm fighting for them.